guys, welcome back to our channel at Niger Hustle. With me on the show is the genius behind Applecart Nigeria, Miss Ojuolape Arojo. Welcome, Ojuolape.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you for accepting to be on the show. I mean, when I heard about your story, and then I was just thinking, why didn't that happen when I was in Nigeria? Because it's always this rush in traffic. You're trying to get home, you're trying to go shopping. My husband has to dedicate a whole day just to go shopping. I mean, shopping is not just a woman's thing, it's a thing for everybody. Everybody does it. You're married, you're single, you're a man, you're a woman. But when you look at how busy Lagos is, the traffic, the nightmare, it's really terrible. So really, I
Absolutely.
really thank you for coming up with this. It's brilliant. I know that there are a lot of people doing similar stuff, but I mean, you've made a name for yourself, and it's always good to be a pace setter, and people can watch what you do, learn from it, and we can change the way we do things, you know? So well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have an interesting profile, Jonakwe, from bagging a first class degree in economics to becoming a Chevening alumni. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would presume you'll be working in a major corporate, yeah? How did entrepreneurship start for you? And was it a deliberate decision or something you stumbled upon? You know, we live in Lagos, so a lot of ideas that come to us, sometimes they're born from our society. We see things like, oh, I could do this. So how did that happen for you?
Right. So I when I finished school, right, my first degree, I wanted to work in a consulting firm, one of the big threes globally. They have an office in Nigeria. But unfortunately, I didn't pass the interview process. And while that was going on, I began to have a rethink. I had this idea to do this. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm coming from, so in the meantime, I did a short internship with an organization that is female focused. They help women in management, business and public service to do great things and impact society. So I was having an internship with them even while I was in applying for that multinational I was talking about. And so when I didn't get through the multinationals interview process, I said to myself, I'm coming from an internship. I'm not earning a lot. This is the time to start this idea, go for it. And, it's, as you know, during the first few stages of your entrepreneurship journey, there's not a lot coming in terms of finance. So you're thinking, my thoughts were I'm coming from something, not a lot. Let me just start now when I haven't gotten too deep into the, the professional working class system. So that's how it started. I won't call it stumbling per se, because the idea was on my mind. It was just that the timing maybe was a bit quicker than I had expected that it would be when I didn't pull through with my application at the multinational. I was very singular focused. I really wanted to work with that company, and I didn't even apply to, I don't think I applied to any other places apart from that organization.
That's I understand where you're coming from. Sometimes you're like, focus, this is where I want to work. It doesn't happen. Why don't I start something myself? I mean, I started my very first business. I graduated from school, trying to look for something to do. You look for a job, it's not always so easy. Or you find something you're not quite sure. And then you look inside, something that you're good at, something you're familiar with. Is there a need? And then you start that. My very first
Exactly.
business started with need. You know, I was like, okay, we're in Nigeria. I grew up in modeling, and while I was in school, I did it while I was in school. So, but we don't have anybody focused on kids modeling. So why not do that?
Mm,
You know, close that gap. How do you do that? How do you
absolutely.
learn? So what you're saying, I can identify with it. It's quite brilliant. Because sometimes we give
Thank
up and we
you.
go to the next thing and we go to the next thing. We don't think about being entrepreneurs or being CEOs of our own, building our own ideas, trying to grow it.
Very true.
It's really brave, especially
Thank
in
you.
Nigeria. So Nigerians and of course Africans are very relational people. Yeah. They like to be able to know who they're doing business with. How does this affect e-commerce back home?
So I think that, you it helps you to build the trust factor, right? people are particularly wary. We always hear about the what I ordered versus what I got. And I think it's not just in Africa, even abroad. You've heard of things where, you buy something on a platform like eBay, and what you get is a picture. So I've heard of that very ridiculous advert before, right? The person thought they were buying a painting, but what the seller had advertised was a picture of the painting. So what they received was then a picture. So it sounds very ridiculous, but it does happen even in other countries. So here as well, there's that wariness that if I give this person my money, will they deliver value, right? And so in that sense, you have to be relational in building your brand. When I first started, I wanted to build a brand that is outside of myself, so have systems working that I don't necessarily have to show my face. But I realized that on social media in Nigeria, to build that know, like, and trust factor, you need to have your face out there. You need to create videos. You need to come and introduce yourself. You need to say hello. Sometimes you add a different flair to it. You may speak in Pidgin, you may speak in Yoruba, or whatever local language that you speak, just to build that level of trust. That's one. I think also that in communication as well, good morning, ma, getting to introduce yourself, having them know your name, so that future interactions feel warmer than just an email saying thank you for shopping with us. How did you rate your last order with us? So those are some of the things that I think. WhatsApp as well, Instagram DM, some of those messaging apps. So if it's a big firm, right, it might be a bit difficult to have that level of detail in dealing with customers and having that one-on-one. But for smaller firms, it's a very essential thing, because as you said, people like to relate, and those are some of the ways that you can relate with them and have them trust you and come back again and again. Sometimes you just need a small reminder, our business, we love having you patronize us. Thank you so much. It makes a difference to this small business. They feel so warm and like, okay, my money is going somewhere and it's making a difference. Okay, let me shop with them again. You get to reconnect. If there's been a lag and the person hasn't shopped in a while, I hope you're doing well, ma. Exactly, just that relationship.
Hello, sir. How's business?
Exactly. We all know where it's going most times, but
you go like, oh God, let's help you shop, so madam can relax.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's
right.
it.
Our social media, I guess it changed the way, because who would have thought, that our parents or today's business, trivial things can be done on social media. Before somebody's okay, I order something online and somebody's chatting, who's this person calling, but now it just seems like it's part of who we are today. And it just bridges that gap,
Yeah, I think it always existed in some way, where you would call different people. So as a banker, for example, you would call the meat seller and say, can you bring some meat to my office? Your tomato person, can you bring this? So we always did it. We outsourced. It's just that it's now that we're having more platforms that facilitate that level of outsourcing. But we used to do it.
You're right. My cousin has a meat guy. She calls me, please help me get this ready.
That's it.
My mom has a meat guy also. You have big cousin. I want half a cow, or I want this part, and it will come this. You're right. So this is just making it a bit more seamless.
Exactly. Creating more options. Yeah.
I mean, we all know that COVID is the whole big story, the whole thing every business is worried about. So many businesses have closed, and which is very sad, because this was supposed to be the year of entrepreneurs, bringing out new things, business growing, and then this pandemic happened. I know how it feels, because I'm in the middle of it. It's a very terrible feeling, not to be able to share your ideas, grow them, or to tap into these new opportunities that we all thought was going to be. So at the height of the pandemic and the lockdown, while most businesses shut down and are still struggling to take off, statistics show that e-commerce business were amongst the few that blossomed. And very true, because I basically ordered everything. If I could order water, I ordered everything online. Was this the case? Was this the case back home in Nigeria? At Applecart.com, how did the pandemic affect your growth?
Right. So I think it was the case here as well. Although at the very beginning, things were a bit unclear around, if you had to serve customers, right? Your safety at the market, as a service provider, or wherever you go to source, whether it's the farm, whether it's the market, how can you ensure that you yourself are safe in terms of protecting yourself from the pandemic, from exposure? That's one. Then there were restrictions to movement, and at the beginning, it wasn't very clear. How do you get a permit to move? If you need to make deliveries, how do you move around? So there were those concerns, but the truth is, for us, especially in the food sector, people were stuck at home. As you said, you ordered water, you ordered food. That was the reality. There was a lot of fear at the beginning. And so people were like, oh, rather than risk it and go out there, I'd rather have someone bring it to me, right? We actually paused, Applecart Nigeria, we paused for a while, at the beginning of the pandemic, at the beginning of the lockdown, because of the pandemic, we paused for a while, we paused operations. And then when we observed, what was going on for a bit, we then started again. But I would say that in addition to the fact that, people were stuck at home, and they needed people to bring things to them, was the fact that there was now a lot of attention on the sector, right? You see people that were in maybe a business like events management, where events were totally on zero. They thought to themselves, okay, I'm great at being active, being out there. I can negotiate. Maybe I can do a food business, a fresh food ingredient business, which is what we do. We deliver uncooked ingredients, which are prepped, to make cooking easier, right? So some people thought, okay, maybe I can pivot, I can diversify what I'm doing and just go into this business. And so the business had a lot of exposure, a lot of light shed on it at that time. So I would say that yes, it did. And because of that, one thing I would also say is initially, when people heard about this business, they would think twice, can I really send someone to the market? Can they get things as much as I would like to? Would the pricing be good? During the pandemic, the choices were few. So you needed to trust. Exactly. You needed to trust somebody to do that for you. So, but the good thing is that the people that we got because of the lockdown actually have stayed with us, and they've recommended other people, and the business continues to grow. So I think it was that jump start for the sector in general that was needed to help people just consider outsourcing, for those that are deeply entrenched in the idea that I can do it all. But the fact is, can a woman really do it all? That's another conversation. But yeah, so it shed a lot of light on the sector, and it helped us to grow personally within Applecart. And yeah, that's it. We're still riding on that wave, and growing from there.
Kudos to you, my sister.
Thank you.
Because I during the pandemic, I usually would shop on Amazon, but during the pandemic, it became like I had them on speed dial for everything. Everything I had, my friends used to tease me, like, you always shop online. Like, okay, did you get this online too? But during the pandemic, I took it to another level, everything for me and my son.
Definitely. Safety was paramount.
Yeah, I had to respect this kind of e-commerce business. I had a new respect for the people. And every time one of the delivery guys brought something to me, whether from DHL or from Amazon directly, there was, this respect for what they do. Because if not for them, where would we? What would we be doing? What would our safety look like? So in new respect for those people, for everyone who delivered something to you, bring them to your doorstep, they put themselves out there so that we can stay safe. And that for me is great. And so well done, Oju. Very, very, very good job for you and your team, trying to keep people safe and making sure that they still had something. We have a fresh respect for that given the pandemic. So well done.
Thank you.
For a low-income nation like Nigeria, where a majority of the population live under $1 per day. Now, what is the future for e-commerce?
That's an interesting side of the statistics, right? Which is that there's a huge part of our population that is low income. But on the flip side as well, there's growing adoption, there's growing mobile penetration in the country. I wouldn't say that we're there yet, And as I said, the infrastructure during the lockdown really made it obvious that there were some challenges around delivery. That last mile. As a business, you've done all the work to package a customer's products,
Yeah.
but you need to get it to them, because if you don't get it to them, every other thing that you've done, it's almost like a waste. So that those things were clear as to some of the challenges within the sector, right? But I would say that within the e-commerce sector in Nigeria, there is growth, and as people begin to tend towards that level of luxury, where you've made enough money and you say to yourself, I can't kill myself, let my money work for me, right? So you begin to consider outsourcing things like cooking. You say to yourself, I can buy a bowl of soup, or I can have someone like Applecart, go to the market, get the items cleaned, so that when I get them, I just use them immediately. I don't need to take time to prep my food stuff, or whatever the products are. So there is the fact on the one hand that we have a very huge size of our population that's under the poverty line, but there's also on the other side the growing understanding that money should work for you. They begin to understand that this money that I'm earning, I'm slaving, 24/7, Monday to Friday. Let this money do something for me. I can outsource my laundry. I can outsource my food. I can outsource my hair making. They can come into my home rather than me going out. So I think that's where e-commerce, comes in, right? That level of convenience that you need. In Lagos, where we operate primarily, right? There is the fact that traffic takes you about 3 hours to get to work, to get back home.
Are you telling me pop-up traffic?
Yes, exactly. So
touch on my life.
Personally, I always joke that I don't mind living outside Lagos, because it's a headache to live here. It's not easy to, there's no day that you end that you are like, oh, what a lovely day. Every day is like, when will this traffic end? That's the reality. That's the reality we live in.
We used to have this joke that you can cook a pot of soup in traffic because you can buy everything in traffic. So I mean, e-commerce is doing the same, saying, look, we can have it ready. Don't worry about it, because now there's a ban on people selling things on the road. So we make your life easy. We buy, bring to you. And you're right. There's a growing amount of the middle class is growing. And sometimes I think for us as a people, it's important to support businesses like yours. Because the more people like you, people like businesses, entrepreneurs like you grow, the stronger our economy. So sometimes that's sometimes what I keep at the back of my mind when I support a small business. And we saw that a lot in Europe. People ordered from restaurants, not because they particularly couldn't cook by themselves, but they wanted to keep those businesses alive. It was important for the growth of the economy, for the environment, So I think for me, I'm not a big fan of takeout, but I purposely did that. I ordered food from these small businesses, these restaurants, because I wanted them to survive this economy. I wanted them to survive this pandemic too, because if they grow and more businesses don't shut down, there's more jobs for everybody and the economy grows, and that's important. So instead of people being seeing the negative part of it, why not say this is something, this person is, closing a gap that we need really. If the roads are not good and we're dying in traffic, and the business is here to create a difference, let's support it. Let's watch it grow and see more people get into that industry. That's very healthy. So you're right, given the growing population of the middle class, we hope that it keeps growing.
I was going to add one thing, right? I also think that people are also beginning to value that leisure time. So in the past, you would go, the story was daddy would go out, mommy would go out, everybody would come back in the evening, the kids are asleep, and there's a lot of regret around, I didn't get time to spend with my family. So these days, people are thinking, if a Saturday morning is the only time I have with my children, I better not be in the market at that time. Let somebody else do that stress and bring that to me. Let me save that time. Or even if you're not even married with children, you may just think, this is me time. Let me go to the spa. Let me just relax. It's been a very stressful week. So the more you do that, the more you want to just outsource some other things within your schedule that you need to get done.
And given Corona, this pandemic has made that even more important for us to really, look at our lifestyle and decide what we want to do with it. So it's this time to unwind, to just relax your mind. It's also good for our mental health because trust me, for those who don't know, who don't live in Lagos, trust me, it can challenge your mental health. I know how many times I had to do meetings in my car. I had to join meetings because you're stuck in traffic for hours. It's a nightmare to walk in Lagos and live outside of the island, especially those who walk on island or who walk on the mainland and live in opposite direction. It's a
Exactly,
nightmare.
exactly.
Not everybody can
The
afford to live.
commute.
Yeah. And not everybody can afford to live in opposite, you want to live close to where you work, but it's not always possible. So
True, very, very true.
are you guys thinking of expanding to, you're in Lagos now, are you planning to
Yeah.
expand to other cities?
Yes, but the thing is, in addition to one of the things that makes it really work in Lagos is that people don't have the time, and then traffic is a headache, right? There are a few other cities that sort of have that kind of demographic, right? The people that can afford your service, the people that need it because they don't have the time, and some of the traffic conditions that also make it a very useful service to them. So yes, there are plans for that in the long run. But in the short term, our focus is first on Lagos. And sometimes you might think, okay, have I been able to capture even 10% of the market before I go out of my, I wouldn't say comfort zone, but a zone that you already understand, properly, and you've been able to operate in for a while as a business.
Yeah, you're right. So watch out for Harcourt. I guess a bit of traffic there. Applecart might be
Absolutely.
probably there. So where do you see Applecart in 5, 10 years from now?
Right. So every time I'm asked this question, right, one of the things I look at is backward integration. And what that means is going into production in terms of agriculture. When I first started, one of the biggest things on my mind was as we build a customer base, right, we can then go back into agriculture and say, by the time we're done with our harvesting, there is a ready market waiting for us. Now, in practice, the journey in e-commerce has been longer than I thought. To be honest, when I first started, I thought, in the first few weeks, in fact, we'll be overwhelmed with orders. Let's not publicize too much. But in reality, it hasn't it hasn't worked out as quickly as I thought that it would. But that level of backward integration is one thing, right? Currently, our focus is on foodstuff, right? We don't do provisions, what we call provisions in Nigeria just yet. So thinking of the other FMCGs around toothpaste, toilet paper, these things still come in handy around the household, right? But they're not kitchen specific, which is what we are currently offering. So looking to expand into those areas as well, right? One other thing is around the customer base that we have, right? We have a mix of corporate and private. So sometimes during festive seasons, companies say that they want to give their staff food items, to enjoy the festive
I
season.
remember
So
that. Bag of rice, oil.
the bag, yes, the gallon of oil,
Gallon
exactly.
of
So
money. People don't joke with bags there.
that you use for the next few months. You're sure that Christmas, and
Don't
the next
try.
few weeks are settled. Exactly.
Try
So
telling your employees we might not be, but I don't even go there.
right. So so we want to also expand that. There are also some corporate orders that we do. So in more recent times, people are more into CSR, where you want to give packs of food to communities, right? We've done a couple of those as well. Very recently, we did 150 packs for an organization that just wanted to distribute, right? So being able to also grow that side of our customer offering. But in general, really, the vision for the business is to revolutionize how people source their food items. So we want to make it easy rather than the 3 hours at the market, rather than the haggling of prices. Every time you go to the market, always arguing, Oga, can you bring it down? Oga, it's too much now. Mother, I go agree. We do all of that and just make it seamless. 15 minutes, you're done with what you will have spent 3 hours doing. So that's really where we're going. We want to make this sourcing for food items to feed your family nutritionally a very easy process.
You're doing that. We wish you a lot of success with that. I know that it's not easy to get the typical Nigerians. I mean, they like to batter, but the headache, trust me, the headache, it's not healthy. Let Ojuolape Applecart do your shopping for you. You need the brain power to focus on your business, on your dreams, your vision. You let somebody worry about the other things. like big businesses, big companies, they outsource some non-important roles that are not vital for
Exactly.
them. They outsource them so they can focus on the core of their business. So it's the same thing with running your own home. You focus on making sure you have your dreams, your visions, your job is you're at the top of your game. And let somebody worry about the shopping where you need to have food in your belly, which is important for you as well.
Exactly.
So we're coming to the end of all this. It's been interesting speaking with you. I feel like I don't want it to end, but it's so how is apple carting impacting other businesses in the grocery value chain in Nigeria?
Right. So one of the major things that we do is we are a connector in terms of, when we source the items, right, we get them from farmer to consumer, right? So beyond the fact that we're delivering to people is the fact that we're actually connecting markets, right? When you look at, sometimes there's that concern around value for money, right? When you asked about the future, that's one of the things I forgot to mention, right? We have a huge level of waste in our system, and that's because by the time items are harvested at the market, before they get to the end user, there is a transportation process that by the time you see it has traveled from the north to the south more often than not, and items are now in rot, right? So being able to also solve that problem of connecting, the farmer to the end user at a quicker pace. That's one of the things that we're looking to achieve. We're also looking in terms of, employment, helping people to make money in a sustainable way for their families. So not just a job that doesn't put your family into consideration. Family is something that I as a person value, and that reflects within the business as well. If there is a complaint around, a staff comes and says that their family, for example, my son is ill, being able to give them that time off to be able to attend to their needs. That's another thing that we do. So family is something that we value, and that's a very basic, that's the basic, that society is built on, the basic foundation that society is built on. So that's another way that we're making impact. And I think finally, something that I like to share a lot, in the real sense of things, one of the reasons why women don't make it up in terms of their careers is because the demands, especially at the home front, cause them to rethink some of their career decisions.
Okay.
I don't have enough support to care for my family, to feed them well, right? Maybe I need to drop off this career ladder. So you find that statistics says that about 30% of women actually make it to top management. It's interesting that over the past few weeks in Nigeria, we actually have a lot of female CEOs coming
I
up, and
saw.
hopefully,
I'm
so
excited about that.
exactly. So hopefully that makes a difference in some of the policies within organizations. But we want to support women to help them stay in work and say, okay, I can pursue my career goals without any concerns that my family life is lagging behind. I know that if I get home, there's food for my family, and that's a very big part of caring for your family. There's food for my family to eat, and I don't have to worry about that as a career woman. So basically supporting women, to make it, to build thriving, successful careers without compromising on success on the home front as well.
For our viewers who are wondering why we think only women go shopping, because traditionally in Nigeria, it's just a common thing that women would take care of the home and go shopping. Of course, that is changing with the new generation of men
True.
we have. And even some of our parents, like my father cooked and he goes shopping if he wants to. So we have that changing, but majority of the time you find out that the women are more, it's kind of like an unspoken rule. I don't know why, that it's a woman's job to
It's
go
spoken.
shopping.
It's spoken. It's
that
spoken.
that even sometimes the in-laws come and they see the man cooking, they're worried. We believe that it's going to change. We're coming to that time
And it's
where
changing.
women, thank God for women, we see now holding top positions in the bank. So we're coming into that generation where this changes. So Ojuolape service, Applecart service, is not just to help the women stay in career, but the men as well. Because now
You
this
said men.
generation that we're part of, thank God, we're coming to the idea, the understanding, this young men who thank God to their parents, have been taught that it's not just a woman's job to cook, to clean, it's also a man's job. It takes two.
Absolutely.
And that's how I was raised. Thank God to my parents who thought everybody, you have to cook and clean and nobody, it's not a woman or a man's job. But we
Absolutely.
have to face the reality. This is the reality right now. We hope that changes. So, Jack, very, very good to have you on the show. It's like, I'm excited about this. I wish there was something like this while I was back in Nigeria. Because
Well,
it's a headache.
it's the time for
You know,
it.
we save the Saturdays when you're supposed to be relaxing to do shopping. And my
You're
husband
already
goes
out.
on Sunday. That's when he goes shopping. When everybody's in church, he goes early and comes back and tries to beat the traffic. Why? So this is really, really exciting. We really thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
And
Thank you for
for
having
our
me.
viewers who are wondering, we talk about e-commerce. It's just simple. You want to go to Balogun Market to go and buy food stuff. Applecart will take a list from you. They will do the shopping for you. I was just thinking, we had our last guest, it was from Soilless Farming, from Eupepsia Place. And they're like farming, healthy farming, alternative way to farm. And you should definitely watch out for that story that's coming out this week. Because you want to start see some things from him, because the people who are going really green and saying, I want healthy organic food, even in Nigeria, so you want to
Absolutely.
connect with people like that and say, okay, how do we source that? And then you have that option to give. It's now a big business in Europe where people are more careful about what they
Mm,
eat. And I'm sure it's the same in Nigeria, because when I was back home, you see people are more careful about where they buy their food and how it's grown. So this awareness is coming up, it's being awakened in our society. So connect with your person, please, on
I'll
that.
definitely check them out.
Jonathan, we're going to keep up with your career. We're going to see what you're doing in that space. We're going to encourage people. For our viewers, we're going to leave information about how you can connect with Applecart on our description box. So please watch out for this video when it comes out, and then you can connect with them. And we hope that we support your business and it grows bigger than this. I mean, you didn't just Chevening, they don't just give scholarships to anybody. You're a bright light, and we want to see that light keep
Thank you.
shining. So well done. Thank you for
Thank you so much. It's been great. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Ojuolape, and saving you from market wahala is my hustle. What's your hustle?
We have such bright lights in Nigeria. It's such a pleasure to see them putting that into use in Nigeria. The stress in Lagos is unbelievable, and Applecart is bridging that gap. So we say well done to Applecart and wish them so much success. Don't forget to click the notification button to alert you on all our videos, especially this one that will be coming up on our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms, all at Ninja Hustle. Don't forget, what we say, what's your hustle?